Next question. Sometimes have labelless experiences, but still feels like it's from a center. Does that go? What inquiry might be helpful? So, in a similar vein to what I had just shared on the inquiry that would be useful is it true that this needs to be different? There's this idea that, okay, well, if there's a sense of center, if there's a sense of someone, that's the mistake and that needs to go away. That needs to change. I can't recognize the truth of what I am until that is different. I can't recognize true nature and live as true nature until this experience changes or a certain experience is had. That's not true. What you are isn't an experience. So changing the change of experience would not impact what you are, because what you are isn't an experience. So if we're waiting for an experience to be different, we're dreaming. If we're hoping that an experience would be different, we're dreaming, and that's okay. That's what happens. There's nothing wrong with it. It's innocent. That's what we're used to. Used to doing, used to falling into. But the resolution isn't in what can I do to make this better. The resolution is in what is it about how I'm viewing this, or how I'm believing I'm viewing this, that's making this seem wanting. It's making this seem, dull and incomplete. What is it about where I'm believing I'm looking from that is influencing the view? Yeah, exactly. So if we're starting from the belief in lack, of course this will be lacking. And we don't need a belief to go away. We just need to not believe it. If there's a billboard, I'm driving down the highway and I see a billboard that says, "This sucks." I don't need I don't need the billboard to go away to not suffer from that appearance. I just don't have to agree with the billboard. It's the same here. A texture of lack, whatever that is, may arise. It doesn't need to be agreed with. It also doesn't mean it has to go away. What we are is already welcoming every way that this is arising, every way that we as this are appearing. And that's all this wants, so to speak. It wants to be loved as it is, rather than viewed from what ideas we have about it. Yeah, absolutely. Welcoming resistance too. If resistance is present, it's already been welcomed. So, even the tendency of resisting resistance can be accepted, can be embraced. It's okay. It's okay if it's difficult to accept this. It's okay for there to be resistance here. Is it really true that I need to resist resistance? That would be a question. And even more, resistance is also based in the idea of a self that knows what this is and therefore how it should be, as well as so resistance is based in knowledge. So either knowledge of the knower or knowledge of the known. And so either by looking at the beliefs about the subject or beliefs about the object, it's the same, right? Seeing what are our assumptions there. If I'm agreeing with the resistance, then it's likely that I awakeness and believing that I'm a bow. And so it would be worthwhile to look closer there. And in seeing through the belief in a bow, recognizing that what I am isn't this separate self. In fact, there isn't a separate self, and that's a very good reason why I wouldn't be that, whatever I am. That's one way of kind of loosening our grip on resistance. And another way would be looking at closer at, okay, so is it true that what's arising, is it really true that I know what that is? If there isn't a self that's experiencing, and all ideas about what's being experienced are based on this belief in a self, right? Every idea that we could have about life is always referring to this subject that it's in relation to. So since we can't find that, is it true that the ideas about this are, they hold any water? So this process is all about looking closer at our assumptions about this. We're not here to change anything. Change may happen, but if we are meeting this with an agenda in mind, it may be worthwhile to look closer at what we think we're going to get with that given outcome, and if maybe what we're looking for isn't already here. So, and it's okay. It's okay if we fall into that tendency. Falling into the dream, forgetting is this too. Cloudiness is clarity appearing that way. Cloudiness is clarity and drag. So it's all this. There's no escape. There's no room for there to be anything outside of oneness. So the more that sets in, the clearer this math of one is, and is kind of just the conviction builds, right? That even if I believe that I'm a self, I know that this has to be awakeness because there's only awakeness. So even if there's misidentification, it has to be true that this is really awakeness, given that there's only awakeness. So starting with this position of humility and honesty can really make a big difference in how this unknowing process goes. It's a lot easier for awakeness to recognize that it's believing a thought than it is for a separate self that's real to merge into oneness. That very well could take lifetimes.